I'm Shane Nyland, and my co host is Blake Musser. And these stories you're about to hear are from Weapons Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, 1st Marine Division, about the events surrounding and directly from the mouths of the people who were in Ramadi 2004. This is part 2 of our conversation with James Anderson of Mobile Assault Platoon 2.
There was a time where it was, I was the only one left in the unit that had been in Ramadi. And it still was something that, I would talk about sometimes, or, when we're out on the training field and it's like, tell a story about Gunny Markey and then like kind of stop and be like, oh, he must be careful. He's up there watching you in that hill, like making a legend out of him, for the other, for the other guys and trying to explain like the intensity of what we did and that the SOPs that were developed out of that is like MAP was a new thing and became the standard. To the point that like at one point we switched our name back to CAT, but it was still like plussed up MAP. So they called us CAT, but it was Combined Armor Assault Teams. So it was basically MAP. They just gave us, an extra couple trucks.
Right.
So it was a little beefier, but that doctoring was established in what we did, in the lessons that we learned, and learned in a hard way. I tried to carry that knowledge and weight on to the degree that I could into the future while I was there.
You remember any just kind of shifting away from combat necessarily? I mean, maybe combat, depending on what you remember. But you remember any other missions where, I don't know, you might have thought they were bullshit or they were unusual things where we went like long distance or VIPs or anything else?
Well, I remember we went. I don't remember why. We went to Fallujah, to Camp Fallujah, to pick someone up. And I just remember it's like we took a long time to get there, and we were always in the desert. And then we got onto base, and then it was just like the most big open desert, and like we drove forever on the base. And I just had a sense of like, what does this Fallujah talk about in the news? It's like I haven't felt this safe since I left the United States. It is just like the juxtaposition. And it's like I think maybe as a being young, it's like I didn't at that time associate. Okay, this is a big outpost that's outside of it. That they're the assault is from this base onto the city, and it's different. But because for me, it's like where you are is where you are. It's like
Right.
Our bases were in the city. So if you're in Fallujah, in my mind is like Camp Fallujah is in Fallujah. But I just remember that was something that stood out to me. Is like, man, this is nice. And then I think we stopped at. I think we got a chance to stop at the chow. We always stopped at the chow hall when we were out of base.
Oh yeah.
Because it was a special little treat. So Fallujah, I think TQ one time. I don't remember what that was for either. And then Blue Diamond and Junction City, whenever the opportunity would arise, was always awesome. Awesome time. I do remember getting messed with at Blue Diamond. Me and Bass were on Firewatch, and I don't remember why there was a rifle in the truck, or because sometimes you couldn't take your rifles places, sometimes you could, but like there were rifles in the truck, and me and Bass were on watch, and a colonel and a senior enlisted came up to us, and then the colonel was talking to us, and while we were being talked to, senior enlisted went in the back of the truck, went kind of in the back, and then he brought a rifle. Picked a rifle up and then brought it to us, and then I chewed our ass for letting him get the rifle. It was like we knew he was back there. It's like, this is a colonel, you're a senior enlisted. It's like, yeah, I'm on Firewatch, but like I trust you to not do anything crazy.
Yeah.
But we, it was like they were just messing with us, and so we stood there, we took our ass to, and it was like, Roger that, put the thing back. I remember uh told the sergeants what had happened, and I don't remember who said it. It was like you should have butt stroked him. It's like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
hindsight being 2020.
Uh-huh.
Um, but that was a dichotomy too, because it was, that showed like sometimes I don't it's hard to describe too. It's like it's not there's two Marine Corps, but there is in a way, right? Because there's the combat element, and there's a mentality and a focus, and then there's those that aren't that, and like the conflict between those two sometimes can be stupid and annoying. Um, and usually, I've found that we're on the butt end of it, for whatever the reason is. Not
Sure.
always. Just like the Navy, like sometimes, the Navy is some ships you're on, the Navy works real well with you. On the Cleveland, we had a good working relationship with the captain, but then uh, on the uh, one of the times we were on the Essex, it was like they were mad that we were there. You're like, what do you want me to do? I didn't choose this. Because like every time that we had to offload was during Exo's happy hour, and everybody's cleaning, and they're like, you can't walk down this hallway. I was like, well, I think the XO knows that we're leaving the ship. It's like you have to argue with a different group, because
Mm-hmm.
every passageway that you go through is owned by a different chief. So you got to
Yep.
argue with a different chief every way, from the gym, which is up in the front, all the way down to the well deck. And you're like, dude, what do you want me to do?
Uh,
So some ships it was okay, some ships it wasn't. Sometimes they turn off the water on green days in the laundry every single time for 3 months when you're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, every single
Uh,
time, strangely.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Uh, I don't know how many times we got on and off the Essex on the deployment before you joined us. I think it was 6, if I remember correctly. I don't know. It was a fucking lot.
Right,
Uh, and it was never any better. No, it was exactly the same.
right.
Well, cool, man. What do you remember of hooch life? I mean, you kind of talked about sort of being welcomed into the fold.
Right. I was a smoker, so I spent a lot of my free time was in the smoke pit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I said, I was always on Firewatch anyway, so I just kind of hang out there anyway, because it was either I was either just getting off watch or just going on, um, and it was a common place for a lot of people to kind of come through. And I liked listening to the stories, and getting to know people. I read a little bit, um, and then I remember grappling was fairly common activity as well,
Oh yeah.
uh, especially with Bill. Um, Bill liked to grapple. Um,
Uh-huh.
I remember watching some Haji Burn movies. Um, Probably the one that stands out the most is Dodgeball came out, and then we started playing dodgeball. So we played volleyball for a little while over at Map Three's area, until the injury, and then it kind of died out. And then Dodgeball the movie came out, and then we started playing dodgeball. And I think I remember that it was just a random assortment of different sports balls that
Yeah.
anybody could find. It's like I think the first iteration had a couple, like had a softball and a baseball in there too. It was definitely not safe. Um, and
Uh-huh.
I remember that in one of those war stories uh, episodes, they had the dodgeball game
Uh-huh.
in the thing, but I noticed very specifically they did not include any of the audio,
Yeah,
because
smart.
it would not be fit for public consumption.
Yeah,
It's
that's accurate.
hilarious.
Yeah,
So that
we were a very smoker friendly platoon. We had 2 smoke pits. We had one in front of the hooch and one in the back of the hooch.
I don't think I ever went in the back one,
Really?
um, ever. I know Map Threes had one in the back too. I never went over there either. But
Yep.
again, it's like I was the Buddhist boot, so like I tried to be a gray man to the degree that I could. So like
Hmm.
I didn't go new places. I didn't explore, uh, because I didn't want to get messed with. I didn't want to get put on a working party. So I just like I knew where my little safe spots were, either in my rack or in the front smoke pit, and that's just pretty much where I stayed. Um, Eventually, I think there was in the front of the CP was where we watched some movies on rare occasion.
It wasn't the CP, it was the support guy's hooch. So the
Okay.
front of the CP had the radio and the maps and all that stuff, and then the officers and a couple senior enlisted slept in the back of that.
Okay.
But the next hooch over between our hooch and the CP was where all the headquarters guys, the guys who were in the armory, the couple
Hmm.
of radio operators that we had, but right, half of the hooch we had made into a makeshift MWR area, which literally just
Right.
had a tiny couch and a little tiny TV and a DVD player. And weirdly, that TV had a satellite attached to it, and we got like whatever 6 or 10 stations that never played anything worth a shit.
Right. Yeah, that is where I was thinking. That is what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Did you have anybody sending you packages from home, or actually,
Um,
actually on that larger idea is, what did your family know of what was going on? Did they? I mean, they had to know that you had just graduated from SOI and got dropped immediately into a war zone. What was that?
yeah,
What conversations were coming out of that?
not a ton. I didn't call home. I think I wrote a couple letters, mom and dad, and my sister, um, and received a few. Not packages. It's like at that point I didn't know enough to even tell them about packages or like
Hmm.
what I would need. Um, and I honestly I wasn't even sure how long our deployment was going to be. It's like because I landed with you, but like the question wasn't ever. I didn't know for like a couple months like when the end of this deployment would even be. This was my first one. I didn't know what it was or how long it was supposed to be.
So
Um,
neither did we really, and anybody who was on the previous deployment didn't believe anything that anyone said ever. So
right.
yeah,
I mean, I found that to later to be the like that should be your default,
yep,
because we got when we on the 15th when we went in as the first wave of the surge with the 15th MEU, we were supposed to be there for 30 days, and then it's like uh, 30 days is up, and 2 days later they're like, oh, by the way, you're extended for 15 days. It's like, oh, that's good to know. Then
yep,
15 days later, no word. 3 days later, it's like, oh, by the way, we get another 30 days. So like, okay, well, I
yep.
guess we're just here for we're just gonna be here forever then.
Yep, those meetings are way above all of our pay grades. So
Right.
we're just like, yeah, whatever. When we leave is when we leave.
Right. Um, so they knew what I was doing. I actually, uh, First Sergeant Mack found out that my sister joined the Marine Corps, um, and he would check in every once in a while. He's like, how's she doing? I sent her a couple letters while she was there, and she was scheduled to graduate a little bit, about a month after we got back. So, he talked to me, are you planning on being there? Like, how's it going with her? Um, which, First Sergeant Mack was such, I mean, it was one of the best first sergeants that I had in my, entire career.
Oh yeah,
Easily.
Is so impactful. He like cared about his Marines, is just, I can't say enough about him. I actually ran into him after he left. He and became a sergeant major. We were on our way out after that second Iraqi deployment, and I ran into him in, um, I think it was in Kuwait, and he was walking with a staff sergeant and a gunny, and me and another Marine were walking towards the MWR tent, and I saw him, and I was like, "Oh shit, hey Sergeant Major, how you doing?" I was very open and friendly with him, which normally I never am with staff NCOs, senior enlisted. I was very rigid, but I was very loose when in how I conducted him, and this staff sergeant just like whipped on me. It was like was ready to knife hand me right in the face because of how cordial I was with the sergeant major, and he just like grabbed him by the back of the neck and kind of moved him out of the way. And then he's like, "Hey, Anderson, how you doing? It's like good to see you." He's like, "You were about to take me to show me where weapons company is, weren't you?" And he kind of just like puts his hand on the back of my neck and was like, "Absolutely, I was going to do that. I wasn't going to go to the MWR tent and make some phone calls. I was going to escort you back to our hooch." So I brought him back, and he was there for about 45 minutes visiting with the guys who were, had still hung around. There were quite a few actually, that were still in the unit that went on that Barwana deployment.
Yeah,
Very cool.
that's cool, man.
First Sergeant Major, I mean, I can't speak highly enough of the man.
Yeah, amazing. Strongest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. Up to that point and after. It's like seeing him in the gym, it's like doing pull-ups I think he did 1,000,000 of them every time he got on the bar.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, outside of like a Mr. Olympia, I don't know if there is a stronger human I've ever seen. And
Right.
yeah, that but away from his physical strength, he took care of everybody.
Right.
Like I feel like everybody has some random story where he was like he knew everybody's personal life. Like,
Yep.
how did you know your sister was in the Marine Corps? Right? Like, he always
Right.
knew stuff. He knew stuff and like came and checked with everybody all the time.
Yep. I think I heard him cuss once.
Oh wow.
It was after it was when we were doing left seat, right seat. We were all at Junction City. You guys were still doing your the clusterfuck that you guys were going through.
Agreed.
And we were having issues with the Army when NWR with the gym and with the game area. I don't remember what it's called, the MWR tent. We kept getting kicked out. The Marines were getting banned just for because there were too many of us, I think. So we got kicked out, and then we went back and we were grumbling about it. We told First Sergeant, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'll take care of it." He goes and I think he goes talks to the base sergeant major, base leader. Comes back about an hour or so later. It's like, "Don't worry, you got full access." So we go back over. Everybody kind of hordes back, over there because there's nothing to do. We were just sitting in those like nothing of a living quarters, staring at each other. So everybody went to the gym or went to back to the MWR. And it was like almost immediately we got banned again, and we went back, and somebody told First Sergeant coming out of the hooch, and he got told, he's like, "We got kicked out again," and he's like, "What the?" And I swear, like there's people walking. It's like the entire scene like froze. No, everybody stopped moving and just like froze for a second.
That would be a scary moment.
And he kind of realized, and then he's like walks away. He's like, "Somebody's gonna get their back dirty." And I was like, "Oh."
Yes.
And then it comes about an hour later. It's like we never had a problem again after that. It was free and it was open. But so I don't know what kind of conversation was had, but he solved our problem permanently. But like I said, I still remember it vividly. It's like time froze. There was probably 30 or 40 people like out, and I swear everybody just stopped moving. Like time stopped moving for a couple seconds. It was crazy.
That's awesome.
Maybe I made it all up in my mind, but like I still remember it.
No, man, that's that he didn't swear. Like, and that was and he also like he never really got angry. He would get stern with you like an old father style, but he would not he never got angry. You never saw him get it. So if he was angry, I would be terrified.
I felt bad for whoever he's going to talk to. That's all I know.
Well, I mean, you're kind of talking about the transition home. Any thoughts about the way home?
We had some, it's like mandatory meetings. I think we met in the chapel, and it was kind of, it was semi-led. I don't know. It felt like nobody knew why they were there, what we were doing. It was like, generally, it was like, it's cool down. You got to talk through stuff. It was like, what do you mean talk through? We all just like, we're just here. We're ready to go home. So a lot of it was just like kind of sitting around waiting. He was like, until we started like cutting up, people started cutting up and talking shit. And then they were like, "Yeah, that's what we want you to do." It was like, okay. It's like, we were just doing this in the hooch. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then we went uh, we started transitioning back. I remember we drove back to Ramadi, or I mean, we drove back to Al Assad in the back of 7 tons,
Mhm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I mean that was a long, uncomfortable drive. I hate riding in the back of a 7 ton, but you realized how much of the country is just like nothing, open desert for the first time. Because being in the city, I know we ran, we do our runs, but you know, on those missions, we were there for a purpose. So I wasn't like paying attention to like the situation I was in as much as like looking out for threats. Um, Even if it was long and boring and nothing, looking through my all I can see is through that little square bulletproof window. Um, but that was the time I really realized like there is nothing in this country except dirt and then cities. Um, and then we were at Al Sadd for a couple of days. So I don't remember exactly how long. Um, and then flew to Kuwait and we were there for a little bit. They had a lot of amenities there. I remember that. There were like a bunch of fast food restaurants and stuff. Um, and then we flew uh, commercial back to March Air Force Base.
Yep.
And I had a sea bag full of rifles that I was responsible for. So I don't know why, but we had like 6 spare rifles and I got
Yeah.
to carry them the whole way back. Then we got back to the armory, turned stuff in and marched back up to the parade deck, and I didn't have anybody there. Neither did Bass, and I think we ended up just kind of wanting to get away from as many people as we could. So we got a place down, the boot move. We went and got a hotel in Oceanside and to hang out there. And I'm pretty sure that I I don't remember it was that first weekend, but I think it was that I ended up getting drunk and fell asleep on a bus bench in Oceanside, and then got very belligerent with a police officer who told me I couldn't sleep there, and ended up getting tased and thrown in the drunk tank. And
Yep. I wasn't sure you were going to tell that story, so I wasn't going to. But yeah, that was the
Right.
call. That was the call that I got at 2 a.m. Yes,
Right.
because for whatever reason, I was still in charge of you, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I was like, "We're in the rear. Fucking
Right.
call the first sergeant. Leave me alone."
So I was, I just lost control of myself that night, my first night of freedom. And I just kind of, uh, wasn't paying attention and, went out on my own, on my own for the first time in months, really, after, being surrounded and, someone always having your back. I just kind of struck out on my own, and then I made a mistake. Thankfully, by the grace of God, the police officer took the pity on me, knowing I just came back, and he had a connection, I think, through some way, because I got let go. I got dropped off at the OOD, and he's like, "So you didn't get arrested?" He's like, "Yeah, just go back to your room, stay out of trouble." And then you came in, you and the LT came into my room Monday morning and knew the story. So I don't know, maybe like the guy knew somebody who knew LT or something. It was just like I had made up a story in my mind because I couldn't completely remember. And he's like, "Well, actually, you were a belligerent asshole and got what you deserved, and got lucky on top of it."
Yeah.
So, but like that kind of snapped me back into reality of like, we still got responsibility. I lost control of my thoughts for a minute. Then it was like, all right, you got things to do. You're got to be responsible. And I didn't make a mistake like that for a while. I won't say not forever, but for a while.
Sure, man. We all fall out of the saddle every once in a while. But I remember that one specifically because I remember being called in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I knew you were not happy about that phone call, and then you were even less happy that Lieutenant already also knew about the story.
Well, yeah, man, we can't even save your ass once the officers know. So, but nothing happened. I mean, as far as I know, you didn't
Right.
catch any charges. We didn't give you
Nothing. Yeah, nothing. It
we
was. I
didn't we
mean,
didn't give you a page 15 or anything. Yeah, it's nothing.
nothing. It was the it was a very embarrassing to me slap on the wrist, which
Yep.
I'm grateful for. Another thing about returning, we quickly, I think we had boots almost immediately when we got back.
Yep.
They may have got dropped like right before we got back. I don't remember the exact timeline. Um, but I was still a PFC, and um, I was grateful at how quickly. I mean, I was treated as senior, and my moniker evaporated immediately. Is like never to be heard again. You know, so it was like, and I was kind of surprised about that happened, but it was also reassuring, that I had, kind of earned my place to be a part of of the crew,
Wait,
because now I was
you're saying nobody called you shit boots anymore?
not in front of a boot ever.
God damn it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
I mean, I became Andy. That
Yeah,
became my new moniker and call sign from that point on. And then
nice.
as I gained rank, then it was Corporal Andy or Sergeant Andy. That was from that point on. But I was kind of worried about that. Being because I was the same rank as all those guys, but I was
Yeah.
still also trying to figure out what is seniority. Because the Marine Corps, it's not just about rank, it's about time, it's about experience. There's a lot of things that go into that. And I'm still, at
Mhm.
that point, I hadn't even been in the Marine Corps a year. So I'm still trying to figure that
Mm.
out.
That's crazy. That's so
Um,
that's so crazy to think.
I
That,
did
yeah.
end up,
Holy
my
shit.
sister, by that ball, my sister was actually, she had graduated and she was a linguist. So she was in Monterey at the language school. And since she was close by, she invited me to her ball. So I go up there in my pickle suit, and I'm a PFC with a car walking into a ball with uh, officers and senior staff NCOs, and and of different ranks. And it's like it was crazy how I got treated by all of those people who were there, and they were just like uh, dumbfounded that was possible.
Yeah.
Like the officers, wanting to like, oh yeah, and they want to talk to me, and they want to like, oh yeah, dance with my wife, and it's like just over and over all night. It was, it was crazy.
That's
You
pretty
had,
crazy.
you had one of the wildest first years, man. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and that was almost 1 year to the day because I got to boot camp on November 10th, 2003. So 1 year later,
Oh no shit.
I was at a ball in Monterey with the language school and with
That-
the combat action room.
What was day one at boot camp like for
on
on
the
the
Marine
Marine
Corps
Corps
birthday.
birthday?
Yeah, no
Yeah,
shit.
did they do anything special? Did you get cake?
We did not get cake. I mean, I think they were like they were rougher on us because they were the guys who were on duty, the receiving drill instructors. I think they were especially annoyed to be on duty on that day. Um,
Yeah.
like
I believe that story.
so we had a lot of move over here, move over there. It's like we scrubbed an empty squad bay and a bathroom that had been just like destroyed. I think they all like used the bathroom in the most obnoxious way before sending us in there because it was I have never again seen a bathroom that dirty in the Marine Corps that
That's
needed to
awesome.
be clean.
That's awesome. They invited
Oh
every drill
shit.
instructor to come take a shit there so you can clean it up.
Right.
That's awesome.
Uh,
Well, kind of reeling it back just for a minute. You mentioned a couple of guys' names. I'm just curious if anybody else stood out from the platoon. You've kind of mentioned Randall and you've mentioned Tweeter and Sweet. Is there anybody else who you can think of, or any stories of anybody that kind of stand out to you?
I remember Matroka. Um, I had guard duty with him a few times.
Up on the bridge post?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. That had to have been very interesting because Matroka is very high
Is a
energy.
talk, yeah, and a talker. It was actually those were the fastest probably post that I experienced, because he just would talk about all kinds of stuff. He had a bunch of things to talk about.
Yeah.
But I do remember him saying specifically is like, he's like, you know what? He's like, training is ruined for you forever. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, after this experience, it's like the normal training that you're gonna do is gonna feel like boring BS. And he was mostly right, because training is important, but there's all these like safety things that you have to put into place, and it's like it changes the scenario. You try and make it realistic, but it is like very often so unrealistic because of the controls that you have to put in.
Right.
And you're like there's a pull between that safety, and it's like, I want my guys to understand what it is going to be like in the ways that these constraints prevent them from knowing. Like, how do you present the dichotomy between the two? I don't want my driver. We did a vehicle movement, like fire movement course. I don't remember exactly where we were at, but like, so there's already gun positions, so you know where you're going. But like, for safety, we put cones in the position with white tape, so you have to pull in between the cones. Like, it wasn't good enough that there was a gun position here. You had to have cones, and you're like, it's like, I don't want my drivers looking for cones on the battlefield. It's like, they're not going to be there. It's just things like that. It's like, I couldn't unsee when those things. It's like, this just doesn't make sense. And it's like, well, you can bring it up, but you're also going to be told to shut up, because you're not the OIC,
Right.
who's responsible for safety. So
Yeah.
that always stood out. But he was right, and maybe more right than he even recognized. But I tried to use that as a way to identify things that I could teach past for my guys, so that we highlight the constraints as a teaching tool as opposed to a limitation. Hopefully I did that, successfully sometimes.
Well, you bring up a good point, because I've asked a lot of people that. How did you carry some of the lessons forward that you shit, man, you were drinking from a fire hose. You you showed up and we were like, okay, good luck. Here you go. You're a dismount, and then you're in the gun and everything else. So you learned all the lessons fast.
Well, what it taught me is like we're a weapons company. You have to know everything in this platoon. Is like, I don't care that you're a 52, 51, 31. In this platoon, like, you're a machine gunner, you're a tow gunner, you're an assaultman. It's like, you have to know, you're a lineman. It's like, you have to know how to do it. You're going to be you're going to be a better 11 than the 11s. You're going to be the best 31. Like, and that's what we pushed, and that's what we tried to train to, because of how much we did dismounted and from a truck, realizing that, a line squad is 13 people. It's like, well, your section, it's like, you might have 5. It's like, you have a fire team plus when you're doing it, and you're going to have to do the same thing that they do in an urban environment. So you have to be better at it. It's like, now we also have heavy guns, and we can use those. We have those capabilities that they don't. So we have to think about that too. And how can we multiply our force to take advantage of that? But like, you're kicking a door in. It's like, well, you have the guys you have. That machine gun is outside. It's like, well, they're not firing at the building you're going in, because you're in it. So you have to know what to do. And that was a big lesson. Truck maintenance, taking care of the trucks and the guns, and how how important that is, and like, what is important to take care of in a truck and what's not. Going on so many mews, fighting rust, busting rust on up armored trucks in the well deck of a ship is like retarded to do. It's like, and it gives you nothing, because as soon as you bust the rust, like, you walk away 3 minutes later and it's right back.
Yeah.
And that was a battle that I had to fight across all 4 MEU deployments. And we would go through. I watched go through the same cycle. So that next deployment, I was a driver. So I was heavily involved with the vehicles. I was our motor pool guy, the lead driver, taking care of our trucks. Um, so I was, heavily involved with that. And you watch, like, you're arguing, you go through the deployment, and then finally, like the last month, they realize, oh, this is stupid. We don't have to do it anymore. They're like, why couldn't you listen, like, at the beginning when we said that to you? And we did that every single time. And before the 11th MEU, I decided to get in front of it, as at the time I was a sergeant, and I told my lieutenant and ultimately the company commander, I was like, look, this bust and rust stuff is ridiculous. It's a waste of time. It destroys morale. Trying to scrub rust on an LCU or an LCAP, like, jammed in. It's like, how you guys even, you got guys laying on the hood trying to scrub down the side of a door. It's not going to do anything. I was like, this isn't going to work. It's like, the only thing we could possibly do is bust down all the rust, prime it, and paint it to, like, so it's perfectly sealed. And even that's not going to work, because we're actually supposed to use, like, caulk paint, and it goes to a specific special place to get sealed and all this. I was like, so even that's not going to work. So what ended up happening was they said, okay, we're going to do that. So during our buildup and the offload time, we pulled all of Weapons Company trucks down into the motor pool. We bought a bunch of grinders, and we actually grinded down all the rust. Bought this, like, white primer and spray paint, and we actually did that for a week of, like, 12-hour days, just busting rust off of all the trucks. And we got them back on ship the next time. About 3 or 4 days later, they all rusted out. And I was like, okay, it's fine. So it was worth a week of work so that we didn't have to do this nonsense the whole rest of the deployment.
Yeah,
so
100%.
It was crazy how extreme we had to get to prove a point. It's like, look, I've done this 4 times. Like, just listen to what I have to say. But, like, no, you have to prove it at every level. You have to prove that you're right sometimes,
right,
to get around the dumb stuff. So, that was a lesson learned over time. It's like, sometimes you got to do dumb shit to get to where, to help people get to where they need to be. Because every leadership group is new. Like, their cycle is like, they were in the line company and they moved up. And, once you learn that kind of chain of evolution, you're like, okay, this guy's going to, like, they're not the same person, but they're going to have to learn similar lessons. So it's like, you got to learn how to be ready to, guide and help them learn those things too. As quickly as possible. So you're not, I still remember shitty working parties. I was like, I don't want my guys doing them, like, unless there's a reason.
Sure. Well, I'm curious, what shitty working parties did we send you on in Ramadi?
Well, there was one. We had to remove the tent, the soft top off of a building. I don't remember what the building was.
That was either the gym or the chow hall, because they were the last ones to get converted.
Right. So we went in there. This was a huge a big building. And then once we got the tarp down, like, we didn't think about the tarp itself, or, like, the fabric. So we took the poles and everything down, so it's laying inside the walls, and it's just one piece. So there's about 3 or 4 of us. So we start rolling these things. So we got this long noodle, and it's like the heaviest piece of fabric that's ever existed. And the door is not wide enough to get through, and there's a wall right outside of it. So it's like we're trying to snake it through. We end up trying to lift it up over the wall, which is, probably 7 feet, 8 feet. Like, it's not low. Yep. So we're like working one end over and trying to snake it over. Eventually, like, I think Tweeter came over at one point and then, like, kind of tried to help, and then was like, I'm busy, and then found a reason to leave, because it was just a mess, and we were there for a long time. That was a terrible one. It was hot as shit every day, and of course we're doing this in the middle of the day. That was one of the worst working parties. Another one was getting rid of the melted doors after the rocket attack.
Yeah,
Mm.
I was gonna ask you if you remember the rocket attack, because I remember it was me and you were getting the
Yeah.
truck ready. So yeah.
Yes. So I remember waking up that morning, and hearing, hearing explosions. Um, I couldn't go back to sleep this time because we were on QRF. So I knew like if something happens like that, it's like, okay, we have to be ready to leave, which means I have to go get the truck ready. So I run out there, um, and open the back door. I'm getting ready to pull the tow missile out and another explosion. So I kind of hop in the truck for a second, assess. It's probably another second. It's like, okay, well, I still have to get this missile up. So I got back out, run around. I'm going to put my PPE on. About the time I got there, you were there and just donning your flak as well. And then as I get my flak over my head, there's an explosion behind me, and I'm still not 100% sure if we both jumped in the truck or if we got blown into the truck. It could be either or
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing also was that we both, while that happened, reached out and pulled the doors closed behind us, like
Uh-huh.
as we did it, because the doors closed. So, and then we sat there for a second. You're like, "Shit boots, you all right?" I was like, "Yeah." Sergeant, you good? He's like, "Yeah." You're like, "Get the fucking missile in the." It's like, "Roger that." So, um, so once everything was good, they get the missile in, get the 240 ready. We're all out there. I think Bass was down the way. I think him and Neil dove under the truck. I'm pretty sure that was the day like Bass drew blood on Neil because he like bumped. He had a hard knife, a holder on his belt. And I think as they both kind of dived towards the truck, Neil cut his eyebrow on Bass's like knife holder.
Mm-hmm.
So we get ready. Everybody's there. We're in position. We sit there for a while. Then we get the kind of stand down order. Pull the trucks back into our normal QRF positions. Um, Everybody goes inside, and I'm on fire. I'm on fire watch. Now, Gunny Markey comes over and he's like, "Shit boots, you're on fire watch." It's like, "Roger that, Gunny. That's right." And he's like, "No, you're on fire watch. You watch that fire because the
Yeah.
because the quadcon is on fire.
Yeah.
There's smoking, and he's like, you watch that fire, and he say, if it gets bigger, you come and get me." So I'm sitting there and I'm watching the fire. It's like it's starting to grow. It's getting bigger. It's like I'm having a conversation with myself. It's like, what is bigger?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I also don't want to go talk to Gunny. It's like I really don't want to go in the CP. I really don't want to go talk to Gunny. And it's like, what is bigger? So I get to the point where like, well, it's like I get comfortable to the point of saying like that is bigger, so I should go tell him. So I go tell him, and he's like, good to go. Go watch it again. Tell me if it gets bigger. It's like, okay, I guess. It's like so the same dilemma again. I go back. By that time, it's like getting bigger. There's a pallet of stuff off to the side, and it's getting close to that pallet. And I was like, okay, well that's big. If it spreads, it's bigger. So I go back and I tell him. He's like, okay. So he comes out and he just like sounds off, and he's like, everybody get your e-tools. And it's like whenever Gunny Markey says something, like everybody starts doing it, and there's just like people come out of every hooch with their e-tools and they start running towards the plan is just to start throwing sand on the fire.
The stupidest plan on the planet, by the way. Yeah.
It is. And so it's like map 3 guys are like the first ones who are getting close, and I'm still kind of I'm on firewatch, so I'm still kind of watching this happen as everybody like kind of heads that way. And then when the first guy is probably still 15 meters away, there's just starts being these little explosions, pop, 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 pop. So this pallet was a pallet of paint cans, so it just starts exploding. They all start popping. So thankfully, no one was injured. And Gunny's like, well, I guess it's it is what it is. So he calls off that working party and it's like, well, now we just gotta let it burn. I think there was a call in for the fire truck from Junction City, And then there was a question on whether we were going to go get it or not. And I think we might have stood up to get it, but then didn't go. And then eventually it did come, and I think it put water on it, but the fire basically died itself out, and they just kind of wet it down. Um, and then after it was sufficiently cooled, we opened it up and looking inside of it, and the terminate. I mean, all the gunny stash was like destroyed, which he was not happy about because he had the those canvas doors that you guys had when you came in is like that was in there, but like that was only a part of what was in there. There was all kinds of different stuff that he had accumulated for the company, and a good amount of it, if not all of it, was just trash. But those canvas doors were all melted and just a mess. And the decision was made that they needed to be, gotten rid of. So we formed a working party to dispose of them. And moving them was difficult because all that Kevlar and stuff it melted together. So they would sometimes you would get one door, sometimes you get two or four, and then it was really treacherous. And during that working party, I ended up falling into Constantina wire.
Oh, that was when we were throwing the doors in the river. That's right. Yeah. We decided to throw the doors in the fucking river. That wasn't my call, but I remember that. And I remember somebody being like, Anderson's stuck in concertina wire. And I'm like, why? We're throwing the doors in the river. And I was like, I walk out there and you're upside down, like in the fucking concertina wire. And Haradsky's laughing maniacally, trying to cut you out of concertina wire. Which
it was a mess because we were on top of some kind of tank to get up above the wall. And there was a hole in the top of the tank that didn't have a lid on it. So as I think I was with Webster, as we went to like chuck one of the melted doors like flapped off. So I lost my balance, and it was like either step in to fall into the tank or fall. The other option was fall into the triple strand concertina wire that was just beside it. And I made a call. And I ended up in the concertina wire. It hooked my arm. It was like stretched like 4 inches off, and just hooked.
Oh,
and I'm just kind of standing there with like awkward one leg in. I'm like, get me out. They're trying to work me out of it.
Yeah.
And when I get unhooked, whoever's in charge of the working party is like, it's like, shit boots, you're done. You can go. And sends me away. It was like, it was almost over anyway, but they're like, you good. It's like, we can handle this. And I remember coming back and like I'm frustrated and angry. And I see you and you're like, what the fuck happened to your eye? And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't even know. I was like, I didn't even recognize. He's like, yeah, you got something on your eye. It's like below my eyelid had been slashed and was bleeding. It's like I was like a quarter inch away from like losing
from being blind. Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't even know it. So I went into the bathroom and just kind of looked and checked myself out, cleaned it out, and and then I went to the smoke pit to decompress and probably smoked a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
That was a rough day for me. That was a rough day.
That rocket, I don't know. What would you estimate? I'm curious. How far do you think of that Connex box away was from our truck? Because our truck was the closest truck to that Connex box when it blew up.
It was. So there were two of them. It hit the one that was slightly farther away. We were pretty much just past the corner of the second one. So I would say 15 meters, maybe.
Yeah, it was less. It was right next to us. That's exactly right. That's what I would say too. Yeah, I would go 30, 50 feet maybe. Yeah. And
I remember afterwards and like looking at it, it was like the second. So it hit the one and it blew through the two walls of the Quadcon, the Connex boxes, bowed out the outside, and you could see individual frag marks, the side like 6-8 inches of these like pieces of frag that independently dented that outside of the bow. And it was like that would have been in our backs,
right?
If it had been one over, we would have caught shrapnel. There's like amazing that we weren't injured at all. I mean, it's like, do you like? I didn't even think to get checked about like, did we get shaken? Was again, it's like it happened so quick.
What?
It's like,
Dude,
That was as crazy as it sounds. That's like a daily occurrence. I mean,
right.
like it's absolutely crazy when you were on base. I mean, you were going to get mortared, rocketed, shelled some capacity
Yep.
every few days. Going to get knocked
Right.
off your feet every once a month.
Yeah.
I remember we were worried at
Yeah.
one. I don't remember which one it was, but we were worried that big boy that we lost big boy because he was in a secret like private time shitter out back,
Yes.
and it was like this mortar stuff happened and it like hit like generally in that area, and everybody's like, "Holy shit!" Is like, and then didn't come around for like longer than it should take, you know. Everybody was legitimately worried like that he was like seriously injured, but thankfully, yeah, he was good. He was, just one of those uh, funny moments. It's like he died. He's gonna die taking a shit.
Well, yeah, I kind of interrupted you. Any other memories of any other guys? You kind of mentioned Matroka. Anything else that pops to mind?
I got. I mean, I became friends with a lot of guys over time, especially after. But like while we were there, Moselle, I had time with him on. I got to know guys on post a lot.
Yeah.
So I spent time with Moselle. I remember in his, when you were talking to him, he was talking about the time we took fire on the bridge post and called in a guy in a plaid shirt, and Map 3 went out there and like yanked him up, yoked him up. Um, uh, Bill, uh, uh, Calais, got to know him. We had some posts together. Radsky was just an amazing driver. Um, I was blessed as my whole time in uh, weapons company that I always got good drivers, but Radsky was like he was fearless but smart. He knew how to move the vehicle. He knew how to maneuver in those areas in that traffic. Man, that when the traffic would be tight, and like there's nothing more unnerving than being surrounded by a bunch of cars that could just as easily be a V bid. Is
Yeah.
like you never know. Um, but figuring out how to like push through that and navigate that and get us through safely. Um, Red Man, was a great mentor, gunner, and then getting to know him he on subsequent deployments. Swede.
It's funny we call him Red Man because he's an American Indian, and
Right.
his actual name is Mike McCabe, but
Right.
the most Irish name ever.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I became his driver on the next deployment. He was the section leader, and I was his driver. Um, uh, Remember Webster, spent some time with him. Got to know him. Let's see, trying to think of, like I said, a lot of that time, with those guys was more just when we were on post together. Is when I got to know people like that. In the in between time, it was if we were sitting in the, probably mostly the smokers because that's where I
Yeah.
spent most of my time. So Mosey definitely was out there pretty frequently. Newmeyer, Bill, Newmeyer was a character. Scrat, he's hilarious. He's a very unique person. And, he's a farmer now up in Wisconsin. This is like, doing great. So,
And he still is a character. Yeah.
yeah. I've been meaning to get up there to see him. It's a little bit farther of a drive than I can make it right now, but I'd love to see him. Like I wish I could see all everybody. It's been so long. I get to see Jim from time to time, but it's been a couple years I think since I've actually got to get together with him.
Yeah. Yeah, we were fortunate to both me and Blake went to the 20-year reunion, year and a
Mhm.
half ago or whatever it was. I guess almost 2 years ago now, and it was
Yeah.
man, it was good. It was really good. Even though everybody wasn't there, the people we did see, it was really good, and I definitely encourage you to go to one whenever they come. I actually hope they come a little more frequently, and we don't wait, a decade because fuck, there's gonna be 10 of us standing around, everybody's gonna die.
Right.
But
I know that. I mean, they've had a few like different ones. As there's like the Fifth Marines reunion and
yeah,
the 20. I didn't even find out about the 20-year until after it had completed.
sure.
And kind of the talks on the chat that we got going, which has uh, been cool. I don't stay up with it as quick as much as I'd like to, but I think it's awesome that there's that everybody still wants to stay in touch, and check up on everybody.
Well,
I hope we can do
that's a
something like
that
that.
that's a good segue to probably something to wrap this up because we've been talking for a couple hours. When you look back at this particular time, I mean that it shit you're as you said, you weren't even in the Marine Corps a year. Very formative time frame, which is I don't know, I never thought about that until literally tonight when we were going to talk how I can't imagine being dropped straight out of SOI, straight into combat. It's nuts. So you and Bass have a very unique experience as far as weapons company goes. When you look back on all this, what does all this mean to you, and what do you tell people?
Um, I got to do like the dream. What I joined for was to go in to serve, to be a part of the conflict of the era, and I got to do that immediately. There was so many blessings to that. It's like I mentioned a few, like getting right into it, bypassing some of the rites of passage. Will say that you normally have to go through on a build up, um, and then experiencing it and realizing that it isn't what you make it up to be is like I've seen that afterwards by Marines, infantry Marines, that I mean, I think you guys had even talked about on some of your previous ones, like when you were in Oki, and it's like you're missing out, and it's like there's that thirst for it, and that it's on a pedestal, but then when you get it and you're like, man, I'll go again, but I would prefer not to. um
Yeah.
and having that
So true.
experience, um, and having it early, where you know as I got to serve alongside guys who then were going through that again, and I, to the degree that they would listen, be like, look, it's not what you're hoping. It's not glory and uh, prestige. It's dirty and hot and ugly and gross, and um, I hope you don't get what you're asking for, because I like you and I don't want you to have to experience it. But like, I'll be there with you if we get called to it. Um, it means brotherhood, accomplishment. It's like it did help me like realize the level, like becoming a Marine was an achievement, and doing something difficult that I earned for myself and joining a legacy. But then going over there and experiencing that, and checking that off is like, my wife jokes all the time, is like, I'm not happy unless I'm suffering. It's like, it's probably sadly accurate. Like, she's like, the most fun you're having is when it's terrible. And I was like, yeah, that's probably true. It's probably true. Um,
That that's the most fucking 2-4 thing I think anybody's ever said right there.
I think
Uh,
our wives need to start a support club for having
uh-huh.
to deal with husbands that have that as a philosophy.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But those are the guys who want with you when it gets hard, right?
That's
That's
right,
right.
man. Well, buddy, it's been great talking to you. I'm glad to see you again. I hope we didn't. I hope I didn't scar you too much calling you shit boots for 6 months straight. But
Nah, toughen me up. I needed
um, no fonder memories, man. I remember you showing up and being literally an integral part because you're in my truck. You're an integral part of my truck, and you I haven't talked much about my experience, but just one little piece that you filled. We started the deployment. We were the smallest platoon. We had 22 guys or something like that. Out of all the platoons, we were doing a crazy op tempo with nobody. And we got the 3-5 guys, which were wonderful. And then we got you and Bass, and it was nice to be closer to, we were never full TO, but we were as close to full TO as we could be. And man, you guys integrated right in. You were magic. It was great. It was like, you didn't have to teach you that much. You guys were both bright, willing to learn, and you were good, man. You were good at it. Even though, a little bit of natural talent, which was good.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Well, I guess we'll sign off, man. This has been wonderful. I'm glad to talk to you.
I agree. Maybe down the road and do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Absolutely. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe for future episodes on your favorite podcast service.